Hey VC, how's it going? Right, okay, got a couple of bits of VCLT to show, plus some records that I picked up over the last few weeks. Now, I mentioned in my last video, I think, that I was having a vinyl diet in December, so I managed to last most of the month. I think I got through about 3 weeks, and I ended up buying records in between Christmas and New Year, but yeah, I think I did pretty well, you know, so they're proud of myself. But right, so VCLT, excuse me, this is from Graham Watson. Cracking vinyl. I showed in a previous video the first 2 RMD albums, and Graham very kindly sent me a copy of this. This is their third album, Architecture and Morality. Now, this is an album that I know very well, but I've never owned a copy. Basically, I mentioned before, I've got an older sister. Back in the day, she played this album to death. So, although, you know, I say I've heard it numerous times, I can't have heard it for the best part of 20 years. This is from 1981. Singles on it are Souvenir and the 2 Joan of Arcs. Yeah, great album. Actually, I went to see OMD in Birmingham at the end of last year, I think November it was. A mate of mine had seen them several times and said, you know, come along. And it was a great night, it was a great hit set. But in the middle of it, they had this bizarre sort of thing where they gave you a choice of 3 songs, 2 of which were from this, the other one's from Dazzle Ships. And the audience could then text in to say which one they wanted to hear. And I think what they actually played was the opening track of this, the New Stone Age. And I just thought the whole thing was a little bit weird, you know, this whole interactive thing, you know, surely, I was saying to my mate afterwards, surely the set list is one of the great dictatorships, isn't it? You know, there's always that guy in the audience who's shouting out his favourite song, you know, throughout the night, and of course the band never ever play it, that's the way it works. But yeah, this whole sort of cumbersome thing where everybody's got the phone out and texting whatever song they want to hear, I thought it was a bit of a nonsense, but good to hear this tune anyway. So, right, okay, the other item that he sent me was Heaven 17, How Men Are. There was another album as well, but I'm going to show that in my next video because that relates to something else I've been listening to. But yeah, so I had a nice morning in between Christmas and New Year where I listened to the first 2 Human League albums back to back, and then played Penthouse and Pavement, The Luxury Gap, both of which I already owned, and then this. So the 5 albums back to back, and this is a lovely record. I'll be honest, I didn't know any of the stuff from this album prior to listening to it, and it's great. I love his voice, you know, so just great songwriting, very much of its time, but in a good way. So yeah, no, cheers for that, Graham. Right, I mentioned in my vinyl tag video, which was great fun, really enjoyed doing that there's a number of classic albums which I've never heard. One of which was Miles Davis' Sketches of Spain. I picked this up from my local charity shop, my local Oxfam, early part of December, I think, yeah, or maybe the end of November actually. Yeah, it wasn't cheap, I did have to pay for it, but it's a lovely copy. It's I think the album came out in 1960. This is a UK press, I think, from '64. Sounds great. Yeah, so I'd never sat down and listened to this before. Certainly my first impression of it was, and I appreciate it's a Miles Davis album, but the arrangements from Gil Evans are absolutely gorgeous. You know, and there's a couple of his compositions on here as well. So, you know, for me on first listen was perhaps more so you know, Gil Evans album rather than a Miles Davis album. But yeah, great stuff. I listened to it several times since, and it's just lovely. But I'm sure most of you know that already. A couple of other classics which I've gone out of my way to pick up. Don Blackman's debut album from 1982. This is a repress from 2017, which was done for Record Store Day. I picked this up quite cheap. This is what broke my vinyl diet. Actually, I saw this in Swordfish Records in Birmingham, and they'd marked it down for whatever reasons. I'd been sitting around since Record Store Day, so I was sure to get it at a good price. But yeah, this is just great jazz fun. I knew a couple of tracks from various compilations in the past, but the whole thing is just wonderful from start to finish. You know, a real rare groove treat. So yeah, and I say, a lovely pressing. I think originally came out on Arista, but yeah, good stuff. And another classic I went out of my way to pick up is Keith Hudson, Pick a Dub. This is the 2016 pressing with the additional LP where the Pick a Vocal. Now, if anybody saw Psych in the Valley, Steve, you're down in Bristol, he showed his top 20 reggae albums, of which this was at number 2 or 3. And after seeing that, yeah, I decided straight away I had to go and get myself a copy. I say I knew bits of it, but not the whole thing, and it's just great, you know, start to finish, just classic dub. So great stuff. Right, okay. Earlier this week, I went to my local Oxfam again and picked up the Jaws soundtrack. Now, if ever there was an iconic film score, you know, this is it. That main theme, you know, the John Williams main theme. Yeah, that's, I still won't go in to see because of that. I've seen that as a kid. You know, it still scares the crap out of me. So yeah, but a great score again, start to finish. It's interesting actually because in my mind I had it that the score, the main theme kept weaving in, you know, being woven into the rest of the score throughout the film. And listening to the first side of this, it only appears at the very beginning of the side and at the very end. You don't hear it at all throughout that side of music. So yeah, so it doesn't feature as heavily as I remembered, but yeah, I say iconic stuff. A lovely pressing. I mean, I picked this up for a £5 because there is a very small mark on one of the tracks on the second side, but it doesn't affect play. So, you know, what can be quite a pricey album, I got very cheap, so that's cool. Right, another soundtrack. A mate of mine is a big Bond fan, and every now and again he picks up vinyl soundtracks. He hasn't got a deck, so he ends up just leaving them around here. He dropped this around a couple of weeks ago. We sat and listened to this. A lovely John Barry score. The film itself is pretty average, but that was the great thing about John Barry. He really did lift what was often quite an average film, you know. So it's a real shame actually, because although I've liked the last few Bond films, they really do miss that John Barry touch, you know, that touch of class. They almost seem to be trying to get away from the, you know, the sort of Bond legacy, the Bond history. I think in the last two films, the main Bond theme has only featured at the very beginning title sequence and the end title sequence. It hasn't actually featured throughout the film. They seem to be trying to go for more of a Bourne feel than that sort of hammy Bond thing. Which is a shame, you know. I did like the David Arnold soundtracks that he did for the Bond films in the late 90s and early 2000s. He clearly had an understanding of the whole Bond franchise, you know, whereas, yeah, I almost think they're trying to get away from it a little bit too much at the moment. But yeah, quality stuff. John Barry, you can't go wrong with that. Cool. Right, okay. At the beginning of each year, I always do the same thing. There's a few websites that I buy a bit of stuff off throughout the year, and when it gets to January, I always look to see what stuff they've marked down in their sale online. And Mr. Bongo had very kindly marked down a number of African albums, which I'd been eyeing up over the last couple of years actually, but they were going for the best part of 20 quid each. You can only spend so many 20 quid, you know, so, but these have been more marked down to about 6 or 7 quid, so basically you got 3 albums here from Ebo Taylor. Yeah, this is the first one called Conflict. This is very much a bit of a fusion of Highlife and Afro-Funk. Really nice record. Excuse me. This is what I'm listening to in the background. Has a few sort of funky touches, but mainly Highlife. And this one again, this one is just totally Highlife, but a lovely record, all great recordings, all from a similar time, I think 78, 79, 1980, that sort of period. So, but yeah, lovely stuff, and I'm pretty sure they're still available on the website if you're interested. And the one other that I picked up at the same time was CK Man and his Carousel 7 Funky Highlife. Obviously, self-explanatory, there's a Highlife record. Produced by Ebo Taylor this time. Again, I think this was 6 quid. But yeah, a really nice record. Okay. And from Piccadilly Records, I picked this up. This is Ed Harcourt Furnaces. This came out in 2016. It's a lovely album actually. It's double vinyl. I think when it originally came out, what put me off was the price tag. It was the best part of 25 quid. I got this for a £5. And it's a lovely stuff. I mean, his debut album came out, I think it must be in the early 2000s. It was nominated for the Mercury Prize. It's a lovely album, but I've got a copy here over in some CD. So I can't even put my hands to it. And I think it must have been after that I sort of lost touch with what I was doing, but I heard a track off this album on the radio, let's say 18 months or so ago, and it got me interested in the album. But yeah, really pleased to pick that up. I say it's a lovely pressing and definitely worth a listen. And finally, another Oxfam purchase, Minnie Riperton, This, I believe, yeah, this is called Minnie. This, I believe, is her last album before she passed away. It's not as good as the other 70s albums, I'll be honest, but you know, it's Minnie Riperton, so you know what you're getting. I think Stevie Wonder features on here, a couple of other guest artists. Yeah, it's nice, not essential, but pleasant stuff, so cheers.